better Nigeria? Is it a myth or do we keep hoping?
Nigeria is a highly religious country. How come corruption thrives?
Why is adoption not encouraged in Nigeria?
Is there a future for the Nigerian youth?
Being rich and famous, is that the only drive to be an artist?
What makes a great nation? Is it the leaders? What about the people?
This is Answers with Dr. Reju. Hi, my name is Onari, and this is Answers with Dr. Reju, where critical life issues are clarified. Give us a call or chat us on WhatsApp on 081 4456 9000. Over the past week, we've been talking about different things we need for citizens to demand accountability. We've talked about the history of Nigeria and how people should actually study the history of Nigeria. We've talked about the need to stay active politically, stay conscious. And I have Dr. Reju. How have you been, Dr. Reju?
I am very well, Onari. Thank you very much. I'm so excited to be here today, honestly. It's So guys, what's going on in town? What's trending? What is making the news? What's the buzz?
Yes, so many things are trending, Dr. Reju. And I think since we began to talk about issues about citizens and governance and society, my eyes have been opened to a lot of things. When I read news, when I hear news, I begin to ask myself, okay, is this right? I generally try to see the big picture. And I guess what's trending right now has been that visit of Matthew Kuka and the Peace Committee, yes, to Aso Rock. Yeah. And, everything we see on papers are whether there should be probe, whether there shouldn't be a probe. Some people have a case against the probe. Some people say it's a waste of time. Some people say it's a witch hunt, as though there's anything wrong in hunting witches. So I just thought I should ask you, what do you really think about probe, in its entirety, probe, and in the way we sort of package it in politics and in society?
Thank you very much. That also it really sort of got my attention in the course of the week, because Matthew Kuka is somebody I always love to hear his perspective on issues. And when that visit came and the whole issue about probe came on, and I was thinking through that, and if I have to talk to citizens, if I have to talk to those in government, especially the people that we are very interested in, the emerging politicians and things like that, that politicians will always politic. They will always do politics. But citizens must know how to respond to that. Because when you hear the words probe, committees, whether they should be probed and not probed, want to fight, in fact, war against corruption, all those things, honestly, at best, we are just doing politics. We started this whole discussion about society, talking about how healthy societies function. A healthy society naturally fights corruption. It doesn't have to be a political program. Naturally. So when we get to a point where we are discussing whether somebody should be probed or somebody shouldn't be probed, that's on the stage of politics. In normal society, if you steal money, naturally, you answer for your crime. We shouldn't be deciding whether this person that stole, should we try him? There is a whole system that should be working in society, that weeds out whatever doesn't make society live. Because if somebody comes to power and said, I met an empty treasury, I don't need that information as a citizen. You want to be telling me why the treasury should be empty. Somebody should be answerable to that as a normal course. So putting it simply, this issue of war against corruption, war against graft and all those kind of things is as simple as it's the work of a policeman. It's the work of the police force. It's the work of law enforcement agents. It shouldn't be done specially. But having said that, we cannot divorce ourselves from the way we have evolved as society. We are not a society that we sort of put structures in place that make things work. A lot of people depend on individuals. And we can't continue like that. It's really a challenge, because if somebody comes and, one of the publications I saw, the APC came out, and I think it was even somebody who is not even in elective post, I mean the Secretary General, or maybe the spokesperson of APC, and chronicled how the PDP, sort of stole money, put it in the papers, put it on the internet and everything. Honestly, that information is not needed. It's not needed. If somebody has actually stolen money, right, the system should throw it up. So my concern here is how citizens should respond to that. Because if you are just making allegations here, we have been on this allegation, kind of back and forth now for close to 2-3 months. It's been there. So people have always been alleged. We have not seen anybody tried. Let's see people in court. Let's see people arrested. Let's see people interrogated. Let the system work. You see, because we have to understand that corruption is systemic. It can only be fought systemically. It not, so fighting corruption should not be the detail of a president. You can't make it a political game or a political promise. Society should fight corruption. So if anybody, and I've said that on this program before, if any political leader, if any governor, if anybody in governance is really going to show me personally that is serious about fighting corruption, he's not going to go after persons. He will reject the system. So it makes it, corruption can only be fought by something that's systemic. The moment you run foul of the law gets you. I'll bring it down. If we restructure the police in Nigeria, if we have a well-trained, well-motivated police force, again, maybe I should go back to history. The police force was very, very powerful, very influential before the advent of cycles of military regimes. But it's been maybe deliberately or maybe by just, the way things are structured. The police have just been, it's been decimated, that particular, and that's the law enforcement agency of the country. So it's really not something that should be discussed, whether we should be probing or not. You've stolen our money, you should be tried. And it's not about, because another thing that came out was that we're going to focus on the immediate past regime. For me, that's hogwash. You can't try one regime, because this thing is is in a continuum. You can't pick a regime in isolation. You cannot. If you want to really do a house cleaning, you want to open a new page in Nigeria, you have to go back to where corruption started from. Everyone that has stolen money in this country must be answerable to it. There's no way you can pick out one particular regime. It won't work. Because that regime will come and say, what he didn't do. And then, our history. We'll go ethnic. Because the last regime, the president of the last regime is from the south. This one is from the northwest. So we will put the ethnic things into it. We will talk about witch hunting. You said it rightly. It might sound like a joke. Witches should be hunted. If you're a witch, you should be hunted. And Nigerian citizens should know that. I'm sorry I'm taking a long time. So much time here. That we shouldn't bring in the debate of something being selective. We have to start from somewhere. The people who are selected, if they are really selected, are they innocent? So it's not something selective. But you tell me that this is just the beginning. But to say I'm going to pick from, the last regime, that's not how to fight corruption. I mean, it's like a cancerous body. You just want to isolate a part. The cancer has spread through the whole body. It's either you do a whole total blood replacement or whatever. So that's the way it works.
Okay, we'll take a short break and be back shortly. Stay tuned to the program.
There are cooking oils and there are cooking oils, Of course. There are those that foam like soap when you put them on fire. And there are those that go to sleep after a few days. There are even those with funny odors that make neighbors wonder what's happening in your kitchen.
I beg, don't kill me.
But But then again, there is Grand Pure Soya Oil, made from pure soya seed. Grand Pure Soya Oil is cholesterol-free, which makes it ideal for the heart and health conscious. It neither foams nor fumes, neither does it congeal even at low temperature. Grand Pure Soya Oil is also endorsed by the Nigerian Heart Foundation as heart-friendly oil.
Let me go and get my own Grand Pure Soya Oil, Joe. Oil that doesn't smell or sleep.
Grand Pure Soya Oil, a heart-friendly oil you've always known.
Welcome back to the program. If you're just tuning in, this is Answers with Dr. Reju. Send us a text or chat us on WhatsApp on 08144569000. That's 08144569000. Obi Brown.
No, but people argue that there is the issue of cronyism, right?
What?
The issue of cronyism.
Okay.
I funded your campaign, I funded your election. And cronyism is everywhere. Yeah. I mean, but to different degrees. One of the reasons why Americans seem to like Trump is because they say he's funding himself, so he's not answerable to Wall Street, he's not answerable to big boys, right? So here, you fund someone's election, and you expect that you'll be able to influence the person. Okay, so if there is somebody to be booked, right, for being corrupt, and you're one of the guys who the law is about to come and, to catch up with, but you have an influence over the guy who is meant to, do that. So it becomes very difficult.
When I fund you, maybe my business is protected. The things you want to do, they can benefit me. They can benefit the generality. But because I fund your election and I run foul of the law, right? There is nothing absolutely you can do about it to save me. Right? Because I'm going against the system, not against you. And you are totally powerless. You can't use your position to protect me. I'll give you a classical example. I've forgotten the name of the company the guy ran, Ken Lay, in America. He was one of the chief financiers of, George Bush Jr. Ken Lay was handcuffed on the streets of New York. He was one of the big money guys who funded George Bush. He was handcuffed, his hands to his back in the streets of New York. George Bush can't do anything. If George Bush should try to do anything. But again, let me also tell you how this thing works, where we copied democracy from. If it is known that you have funded, for instance, my political ambition, what you can do with my government has become so limited. Because objectivity can no longer be ascertained. Right? Even, maybe, I'm sorry, I have to quickly begin examples about the West. When Dick Cheney was the vice president, he was even no longer in the board of Halliburton. Halliburton took contracts in Iraq in a government that he was the vice president. It was a big problem. Because how do we know now that Halliburton is the best company to get that contract? How do we know it's not favoritism? So these are things. If you're going to fund my election too, I want to be able to do a background check on you. That I'm not putting my hands in something that is, because they say, show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. So I don't want dirty money to fund my clean vision. Right? If a dirty money fund my clean vision, my vision is no longer clean. So these are issues. But it's still a nascent democracy, right? But we have to be seen to be growing. Where we are right now takes us back to the 60s. We don't punish criminals in this country. We don't have the history. We don't have the practice of punishing criminals. We don't reward excellence. We don't value merit in Nigeria. If anybody thinks anything is changing because of all this noise, it's not. Nothing is changing. It's just, as far as I'm concerned, it's noise. You don't bring it to paper that somebody has stolen money. No, we don't need that information. Arrest the person. We have not had any name. Because PDP is not a person. We've not had any name. When PDP came out and said they are witch hunting them, no. If you are clean, keep quiet. Nobody will come and tell me that I've embezzled money. I've never been in government. So if they're saying somebody they're looking for those who embezzle Nigerian money, I can't have sleepless night. So that's the issue here. You know.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dr. Reggie. But, if you look way back from when he was campaigning as our president, he said, he's not going to probe anybody, but starting from May 29th, after being inaugurated, sworn in, that's when he's going to start. Now, let's come down to the citizens. There seems to be a disconnect. It appears we don't really know the implications of some of these statements. Like for him now to say this, and then after being sworn in, he turns a leaf. Okay, I'm going to probe and all that. And then, let's also consider structure. We as citizens, what should we be looking out for instead of waiting for the Messiah to come and activate all these probes, so to say? What kind of structure should we be looking at our own level?
Yeah, thank you, because you mentioned structure, you spoke about political campaign. I think on one of our episodes I actually said that if citizens are well educated politically, a politician should not come and be using fighting corruption as campaign. Right? Yeah. I've said it here while we're talking about this issue of the probe and everything. Probe is politicking. It's nothing. I'm telling you, it's nothing. And I'm glad you spoke about structure. It's not a probe. It's something that, a society that's healthy, right? We continually we get rid of corruption. And if we're going to do that, if in any way I want to if we have seen that not fighting corruption or corruption has become a major problem, if I want to make that to be a political campaign to get into office, citizens must ask how. And the how, if it's telling me that it's going to pass government, I must know straight away that this guy is playing politics. Right? The how to fight corruption is strengthen law enforcement. It's as simple as that. If I'm hearing somebody saying that I am going to so develop law enforcement to such an extent that no Nigerian policeman will have the need to collect bribe from anybody, then I know you are talking seriously. But to make fighting corruption your political game plan, you are going to be so engrossed in that no development. You are not going to get involved in governance. And that's what we are seeing right now. This corruption fighting, this war against corruption, or whatever we call it, has become a huge distraction. And citizens are, they're already being blindsided. We're just waiting. We're looking for the next story. There was even one I saw, immediate past Minister of Petroleum, Desiani, was on the hospital bed, and somebody came out and said, oh, what a bad Photoshop you guys have done. And the guy dissected the Photoshop and all those kind of things. Nigerians just love all those sensationalist kind of. It's not working. If that lady had embezzled, if she has really embezzled money, she should be in detention. There's no need to talk about it, right? So don't let this thing will continue for the next 4 years, and it will become another springboard for another election. Do you know this thing they are spending is also money? They are wasting people's time. They are assaulting people's, intellect with all these things. By the time you know it, they are campaigning for 2019, and we'll still be here. Nobody will have been brought before the law. Let's ask the right questions. Stop telling us somebody has embezzled money. Can you please pick them up? If you're telling me we are investigating, fine. But not this sensation that people are creating, Yeah,
because like you said, law enforcement, judiciary.
Absolutely.
But sorry, do we even have laws?
The laws are there. Do you want to tell me that there is no law that if you steal money, even theft, theft, graft, money laundering, all those kind of things, those laws might not be perfect, because I happen to know, but you see, as imperfect as our laws might be, if those laws are enforced, they are enough to clean the society.
Wow.
I'm telling you, as in if you happen to know that to steal money attracts higher level of jail term than money laundering. That's why somebody will launder billions, they will give him 6 months. Somebody will steal 10,000 and he will get 5 years. Those are the defects in the law, right? But you see, again, the guy is not spending time in jail. I'm very sorry. He's not spending time in jail. But if society functions well and we know what it means to be an ex-convict, even if it's 1 day you spend in jail, your economic career is threatened, your political career is threatened, your anybody that goes by your name. So it's not about spending time in jail. It's about you being classified that you have at a particular point in time you have been, convicted of financial crime, social crime, or whatever kind of crime. That's it. People now have something to live for.
Let's take a break here. Okay, we have to draw the curtains on today's episode. Dr. Edru, thank you. Obi, thank you for your input, and Adams, thank you. To the listeners out there, we must bring this country together. Check our website, Answers with Dr. Edru, to get the books we've been talking about, and we'll be back here next week. Thank you. Give us a call or chat us on WhatsApp on 081-4456-9000. Check out our website and interact with us on www.answerswithdredru.com. Like our Facebook page, Answers with Dr. Redru, or send us an email at answerswithdredru@gmail.com. On Twitter, we are @Dr. Redru Answers. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Answers with Dr. Redru, where you can get all our episodes. Join us again on Answers with Dr. Redru, where critical life issues are clarified.